Now let us try to follow some guidelines for a successful presentation. There are both subtle and significant differences in speech and writing, and it's good to know what they are when preparing in an oral presentation. One thing is very sure, that when you are presenting orally, it should sound more like natural speech. There must not be any dramatization. One of the most obvious ways in which to achieve this is to speak sometimes in the first person, that is I. You can refer to yourself in an oral presentation, for example, by saying, I would like to start by, or you can also use the line, let me give you an example. But in written projects, it is always best to keep the use of the first person to a minimum. Then about time limits, practice the presentation a number of times to get the pacing right and ensure you fit the information into the time provided. We should always maintain the time schedule given for the presentation, and so that practice will make us perfect. We will say, for example, we have only 20 minutes to deliver the presentation, so within 20 minutes we should be able to deliver the information whatever we have provided. It is preferable not to read your entire paper, as you will tend to lose eye contact, intonation and good posture. You can refer to the handouts occasionally, but it is never advisable to read the entire paper, because you have to maintain eye contact with the audience. You have to be very conscious about the posture you are maintaining and also the intonations. Try to make a sort of roving eye contact with the audience while maintaining good posture and using appropriate gestures with your hands. So this is included in how to prepare regarding the body language. Now about voice. Speak loudly enough for your audience to hear you, clearly and slowly enough for them to easily follow your argument. Use silence and pauses effectively when making particular points, and maintain interesting intonation patterns. Avoid speaking in a monotone. So I have already said about this guidelines, that we need to maintain eye contact with the audience. We must have a very good posture by using our hands and all the gestures very appropriately. We should speak loud enough for our audience to hear us clearly, but also the pace should be slow enough that they are following what we are delivering. It's not that we need to talk continuously. We have to use silence in between or make pauses, but very effectively, and maintain very interesting intonation patterns. Don't speak in a monotonous tone or a voice throughout the presentation. We use presentation aids to make our presentation more lively and more interesting. There are 4 basic reasons why we use presentation aids. Number 1, they increase audience understanding of a speaker's message. Secondly, they help audiences retain and recall a speaker's message after the fact. Thirdly, they make a speech more interesting by adding variety. Lastly, by making a speaker's overall speech more polished, presentation aids can increase an audience perception of the speaker's credibility. So these are the 4 reasons why we use aids in our oral presentation.